Welcome back to episode 10 of TML Weekly, presented by Bjorn and Don Cherry's Sports Bar and Grill. So, big week just passed by. The Leafs, always lots of stuff going on with them. And let's just make this one quick, intermission show. John, I know you want to talk about Saturday game against the Preds. Let you take it away.
Hey, listen, I just want to, before we get going here, shout out to Don Cherry Sports Grill. I feel like we're doing like an authentic coach's corner here at the end of the first period here. Grapes, I feel like, would be proud of us right now.
Thank you.
So listen, I just want to get into Saturday night against Nashville. Everybody knows I'm a little critical of the Leafs on our play, especially coming out of the box. I think that we oftentimes struggle. But what I want to bring up more than anything right now is to make this point. Saturday night showed you this Maple Leafs team, when they're committed to team defense, can play a full, complete 60 minutes hockey game. And it is the first time that, for me, I've seen that effort all season. I loved it. I loved absolutely everything about the game on Saturday night. I loved watching Austin Matthews come back and back check. I loved watching William Nylander come back and back check. Matthew Nyes coming by as the third guy back, picking up the winger on the corner, lifting his stick so he can't make a play. I loved absolutely everything about our game on Saturday night. And that, to me, says fundamentally this team, when they want to, can play a full 60-minute game. It also says fundamentally there's a problem with the team that we don't do this on a regular basis. But I'm not going to be critical. I'm choosing to be positive right now. I'm going to choose to be positive. I'm going to say I'm choosing to believe that we turned a corner, that as a committed to playing a team defensive game. I didn't love the first period against the Islanders last night. I loved the first 5 minutes of the game. And then I felt like we went to sleep for a great portion of the first period. Little problematic. I don't love that. But listen, what here we are. We're at Madison Square Garden. We're at the Mecca tonight. And I don't know anybody in the world who can have a problem with the way that we've started this game. If we play, let's throw the first period out with the Islanders. If this team shows up like it did in Nashville and shows up like the first period tonight, I'm great. I think we're turning a corner. I love what I've been seeing. Johnny, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't disagree about the Nashville game, but I disagree in that's probably the best hockey game technically that this team played in
Nashville game
10 years.
The Nashville game,
yeah,
100%.
10 years,
100%.
But when you keep talking about consistently playing 60 minutes, that doesn't happen. There's not a team. If you go to any general manager in the league and say, you look at the performance Toronto put on, and they all have those type of games, right? But they're few and far between. The elite level teams in the National Hockey League will play a full 60-minute game, 5-8 times in a season, right? So you're bang on. That was awesome. I didn't like that. I liked the start on the island, and then they kind of, wheels came off. But credit to them you get that point. Teams in the past weren't even getting that point when you went down like that. So they came back. They had an opportunity. I don't like the overtime stuff, the goofy, all the big swings and stuff. I do agree. Somebody's talking about making a rule in overtime that you can't regroup. And if you bring it back over center, it's a penalty or it's a D-zone face-off or something. I don't know what it is. But I agree. I don't like this big kind of I want them to run and gun like they did for the first however many years that they did it. But they came back and they showed some character to get that. And I think they dug deep to get JT that there was nothing more sweet than him getting the 1,000th point there and people flipping the bird at him and and then the bench cheering. So, good. That was what you could see the emotion on the dad, right? If you watch the dad, him scoring 1,000, any dad, if your son scores 1,000 points in the NHL and you get the opportunity to be there for it, it's going to be special. That was a little bit more special last night. If you looked at that man, and he's a pretty stoic guy.
Yeah.
That had happened in Long Island after what they did to his boy and the way that sort of fan base has treated him since he's left. That's fantastic to me, man. That made my night. I didn't even care that they lost an OT. I was like, yeah.
Can we give though? If we're gonna credit John Tavares' dad, and believe me, anybody who's a dad, 100% gets how happy John Tavares' dad was. Can we critique Mitch Marner's dad beside him? What was that?
I didn't notice that. I was watching.
Okay, so John Tavares gets the goal. His dad goes insane. He's jumping up and down. He's having a great time. And Mitch Marner's dad is like he's at a funeral and kind of stands up and he's got the look on his face like, all right, great, here we go. Tavares' dad is right beside him, jumping up and down. He doesn't look and high five him. He doesn't look and jump up and down with them. He's like, yeah, well, here we are. What? It was a horrible, X ate Paul Marner alive today. And rightfully so. I think it was a terrible look from
I wouldn't
Johnny, if you wait till you see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it, but
wait till you see it. It's a terrible look.
You need to be very careful with what's going on in social media and the conclusions that are, you know what I mean? Like I personally would like to listen to what Paul Marner had to say before I would comment on it. Did he? Some guys aren't as in tune with. Oh, that's his 1,000th. They just thought he scored. You know what I mean? That there could be a number of ththings. We don't know. We don't know. But yeah, I never saw that. I can't believe.
I'm just saying
the highlights this morning, and
listen, and I'm not throwing dispersions on Paul Marner necessarily. I'm just saying it was not a good look. It was not a good look. And I like Marner. We know I like Marner. I'm a Marner fan.
Yeah.
My daughter Kara has the jersey. She swears by Marner. She loves him. But not a good look. Not a good look from Paul Marner last night. But shout out. Listen, and listen, if anybody in the world needed to get on the board, it was Tavares. Because we let's talk about it. Tavares has been 1 goal in 8 games. This has not been a banner start for Johnny Toronto, right? 3 goals in 16 games, 1 goal in 8 games. Johnny. It's funny before you jumped on, Johnny. Nolan and I were talking about it, and we said, listen, he has been electric these last 3 games in the face-off circle. There has been he's got to have won 90%. Of the faceoffs. He's been just fantastic. The rest of his game, I don't know. It hasn't for me been what I need to see from Tavares. Now, if he can do what he's done on the island and kind of parlay that on a go forward basis, I think we can all get there. He had a hot start. He looked good for the first 5 or 6 games, but he's really cooled off.
I'm just gonna jump in here quick. Can you guys both guess how many points he has in 25 games this year?
I'm going to say he's got 6 goals, 14. I'm going to say 20 points.
I'm going to say 24.
He's got 25 points, 25 games.
Okay.
Not bad. And
I was just about, and I didn't know that. I was just about to come back and say, I think Tavares is playing better this year than he has in 3 years. I think, I didn't know the number, and I'm not talking about numbers. I think he's doing the little things. He's doing these little. I don't know. He's scoring big goals. I think he's doing things that captains do, winning faceoffs when he needs to, driving the net last night with 5 seconds left, and making space so Mo can tap that in. I honestly, and then I was looking at a stat because they were talking about him going back to Long Island. And I was looking at a stat and it was broken down to shots per game, goals per game, all kinds of different, statistics, advanced stats. And from his time in Long Island versus his time in Toronto, and they're literally virtually the same.
They're the same.
So here's a guy that's 3, something like that, isn't he? 32?
31.
Yeah. Anyway,
33.
So his numbers have not declined, and I just don't think at this point it's even about numbers. It's about doing those little things and buying in and getting the group to buy in, and he's doing a tremendous job, I think. Yeah, I don't think he needs to get going at all. They keep, he never has a consistent winger because they're always saying, okay, well, we got to get Marner going, so we're going to put, they're moving guys back and forth. So yeah, no, I think he's driving. He's worth every penny we're paying him right now. You have to look at it like that, and Nylander's worth that money too. Yeah. We're just lucky we have all these guys, right?
Yeah. So just quickly jumping back to the faceoff stat we were talking about and how he's been great in faceoff. His career faceoff percentage is 53.3. Can you guys take a guess at what his percentage is this year?
52.6.
52.6. I think John might be frozen, but it's 62.
62 this year.
Yeah.
Wow. That is nuts.
Oh.
Yeah, he's coming in.
I apologize, guys. I got cut off there on Wi-Fi. I almost – it's a good actually thing that I dropped off because I actually heard you say that he's worth every penny that we're paying him right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be clear. So 1 goal in 8 games, 3 goals in 16 games, and that's worth every penny of $11 million that we're playing him right now. I just want to be clear. That's
he's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're going real well right now, and they're playing real well, and he's got a point a game.
I just want to be clear, though. I just want to be clear.
He's a point a game player on a team that's in the upper echelon of the National Hockey League and a cup contender, and he's the captain of that group. And he's a point a game, and he's got a 63% faceoff. Okay,
so hold on. I'm not telling you he's not a faceoff player. I'm not.
Nylander's worth that money too.
I just want to be clear. You're saying. I just want to be very, very crystal clear on this. John Tavares scoring 1 goal in 8 games, 3 goals in 16 games is worth $11 million.
What's the team's record in those games?
What?
What's the team's record in those games? You got to get off the stat stuff and look at the big picture. They're paying him for a point a game in the National Hockey League. That's a pace for 82. So I don't care if he doesn't score in 20.
Okay. I just want to be clear. If you're okay with that,
and he doesn't get a goal in 20, but he ends up with 40 on the season, you think he's not worth his money?
John Tavares
that's your logic right now.
No. John Tavares has scored 40 goals.
Saying, no goals in 8, or who cares? What's the record? This is a team game. It's not about one guy not scoring in 8 games, because if everybody else is scoring in those 8 games, perfect.
Everybody's not.
Going to get hot again down the road.
20% of the goals for the entire team. That's my whole point.
Yeah, they're going.
He's just got 20% of the goals for the entire team. The entire defense of the Toronto Maple Leafs has one player who has more than 5 points 20 games into the season. And I just want to be clear. You're saying we're good with the captain of the Maple Leafs, who's a top 10 paid player in the league, scoring 3 goals in 16 games and saying he deserves every penny that he's getting.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because it's a team game, John.
Okay. No,
it's
listen.
not about John Tavares going goalless for 8 or, all these goofy stats that mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's a team game. Okay. Who cares? If Austin Matthews goes on a 40-game goalless drought, right? But he scores 42 in the last 42. Who cares? As long as if the team's going well, that's what I care about.
But Johnny,
right? And that's how I kind of came up in the sport. It's not about this all this mumble jumble.
Okay, so
you can look at stats and
Listen, let's say Matthews right now is Matthews is playing really well, right? He's leading the NHL in goals.
Yeah.
What if Matthews is having a so-so? What if Matthews is having a Marner start? Right? Marner's having. I think we all agree. We all love Mitch Marner. We all agree Mitch Marner is an elite top 10 player in the league. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. We also, I believe, all agree Mitch Marner is not playing at a top 10 level right now. Is that fair?
Yeah, but I don't look at it. I don't look at that individual player and think that at this point. I look at the team's record. And if it's shitty, then I'm going to break it down and say, why is it shitty? If it's good, I'm going to say, okay, it's good. Maybe this guy's not producing at the pace that he's supposed to be. That doesn't mean he's not playing well.
Okay, but hold on.
Right? He kills penalties now. He's doing a lot of things. I think Mitch Marner's fine.
Okay, so
right? I think John Tavares is fine.
Listen to the point I'm making, though. Okay, if right now Austin Matthews leading the NHL in goals, if Austin Matthews is having an Ovechkin start, right, and he's struggling right now, the Leafs are not.
Yeah, but you don't know that. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
Because how is that ridiculous?
Because Marner could be on a heater. You can't sit here and say if Austin, it's so arbitrary. If Austin didn't start well, and everybody else stayed the same, then they wouldn't have a very good record. But there's the variables in the sport of hockey is chances are if Austin's not going, Mitch is. And that's what's nice about having these 4 or 5 superstars in your lineup, because Austin didn't start that great. Nylander was the guy for the first 10 games.
Hold on. Austin did
the 2 hat tricks, and then after that he was dry. Right? But it was Nylander. We said on this show Nylander was their best player in late October and November.
100%. But
I look at the record, John. I don't care. I don't care if 5 of them are goalless. If the team's winning, and they are, and these guys are pros, they're gonna figure it out. This isn't Jack Campbell, right? These are guys that are you don't forget how to score goals and make plays at that level. You just don't.
All right.
Right.
Okay. So speaking of guys who have forgotten how to score goals, okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Max Domi.
Okay.
Max Domi got his first goal the other night, and it occurred. And listen, I am the very first guy who said, Max Domi, he's not his dad. We got to temper expectations for what we want out of this guy, for what we think we're going to see out of this guy. Now, Max Domi got moved to center, and he's been a different guy than the first 10 games of the season. You cannot say that the first 10 games of Max Domi and the last 10 games of Max Domi is not a marked improvement. Here's my question to you guys, both of you. If Max Domi is a solid third-line center, which he's been, but scores 7 goals all season, is that a good signing?
What's your record?
No, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking
that's what I'm going to answer. What's your record?
Based on the expectation of
20 games over 500? Absolutely it is. Because it's a team game. It doesn't matter. right? If he gets one goal all year and the team is rolling and he's taking care of his defensive responsibilities, who cares? The goal of the season isn't how many goals Max Domi scores or Mitch Marner or John Tavares. It's about winning a championship, right? So if everybody, we have a lot of depth in this organization, certainly on the high end skill forward position. So if all those guys go into a little bit of a slump, as long as they don't all go at the same time, this is good. This is a good thing, right? And that's what's been going on.
I mean, I just want to be clear again. You're of the opinion that we have a lot of depth in the forward side of the equation?
High-end forwards, more than most, yeah.
Okay, so we got 4 players that we agree are top high-end players. If you look at our secondary scoring, through the first 10 or 12 games of the season, we didn't have any.
What's the record of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Oh, my goodness. We're back.
Oh,
all right. Yeah, okay, fair enough then.
Just keep spinning your tires, man. What's the record? So first, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't get too in depth into thinking about what's wrong. Look at what's right and be happy that when these things are wrong, you're still going good. Right?
Fair point.
You don't want to. You can't. And I think that's what's going on. We talked a couple of weeks ago, and Treliving, I believe, has I don't think he takes the job unless he's got basic autonomy. That if he feels he needs to make a move to help the hockey club, he can make that move. He's been reluctant to do that because I think you see enough. And you documented some of the maybe slower starts or maybe not producing at the rate that they're used to. And there's a couple of examples that you made, but they keep rolling, right? So then he's going, shit, do I mess with this chemistry? Because obviously, they're rolling. They got a good, very solid record. As good as can be expected. I don't think any of us would have said, they should be. The rate where you're going to lose hockey games. It's the National Hockey League. All these guys are there for a reason. But I think they're going in the right direction. I'd like to see, some goaltending good news come. But again, I don't believe that goaltending is going to be as crucial as most do, because if this team is playing, 90% of the time the right way, they're going to have the puck. Okay, and the shots are going to be like Nashville, right?
So let's talk about goaltending. Nolan, yep. You missed last week. You were basking in the sunshine. What was your reaction when you saw Joseph Woll go down?
Yeah, I came back inside to watch the third period of that game. It was tough seeing him go down. He's had such a great start to the year. It looks so promising. And, just hope he comes back. His time comes back and see
in your mind, was Joseph Woll establishing himself as the number one goalie?
Yeah, I think so. Because Keefe had been using him as like the starting goalie playing against the tougher competition, I'd say. He certainly was like playing like he was a starter. His stats were significantly better than Samsonov's stats all year. And it looked like, he just started to take the crease. But stuff happens, and hopefully he comes back soon.
Yeah, I think it's not that you ever want to see anybody get hurt. But, I think they're in a pretty good spot. This is a good time for him to get hurt. If you're going to get hurt, rather now than in March, right? Now you have a chance. Now you got a chance to get this guy going and give Sammy the bulk of it and get some confidence coming. And he remember the early in his starts, he was overplaying everything. He was jumping out of the net almost sometimes. He's not doing that. It's been. You just look structurally. He looks a lot more quiet and calm in there, And that's confidence at the end of the day, right? Confidence comes. Who's fighting here? Lagesson and
good for Lagesson. Good for Lagesson.
Yeah, but Kreider's a big man.
Chris Kreider's a tough cookie. So listen, it was funny. We Kara and I talked about this on Saturday night, and we had a little bit of a debate on our show where I asked her, I said, Kara, who would you rather see right now? If we were going to make a move, would you rather see us acquire a defenseman or a goalie? And she was adamant that we need a goalie. That Samsonov, for what we've seen from Samsonov at his best, is passable. Samsonov at his best is passable as an NHL goalie. The problem is we've seen a lot less of Samsonov at his best. 4 goals a game on average is not good. It's not going to cut it. And I even, it was funny when we were talking the other night, Nolan and I were talking before we came on, and I said he had the shutout the other night, but he had 3 goalposts on 15 shots. And, you know, that's not going to get the job done, especially when you're playing with, you know, a makeshift defense in front of you. So I'm kind of, you know what, I've in my own head, I've kind of cemented myself to the fact that we need defensive help. Love Lagesson throwing the bombs, but
I wouldn't rush to do anything right now.
You know what? Part of me says though, you know what? Maybe we give Martin Jones a little bit of a runway here.
Absolutely.
Maybe because Martin Jones, whether it was San Jose for years, and granted he had, you know, Burns and Carlson and all those guys in front of him. Even with Seattle last year, he was still a legit NHL goaltender.
Absolutely. I was thinking when you mentioned the goaltending and there's a guy that's going to be out there unless Minnesota really, you know, figures it out, and that's Fleury, right? And Fleury can still play. I would bring in Fleury even if I had 2 healthy guys, because at the end of the year your cap situation it works itself out, right, going into the playoffs. But Martin Jones is Fleury, right? Without the props, right?
I agree.
He's, you know, so you got a guy here that's not going to cost you anything. Yeah, give him. You know, you were looking at 6. High ankle sprain is not a pretty injury.
He's gone through February.
Yeah, and it's worse for a goalie too because of the pushing and the
push off on the
sliding. Yeah. So they're going to take their time with him. So, you know, I would play it out right now, and I'd have, because there's a couple back-to-backs coming up. I would, you know, certainly use Jones in those. And if he gets hot and he goes, you know, he starts and, you know, has a real good game, give him the net again, right? Have 2 guys comfortable in there when the other guy gets back, and now you got a 3-headed monster, right? And there's, if you look in recent history in the National Hockey League, there's been teams that have used 3 goalies in a playoff run that have done very well, right? You know, and Pittsburgh and Fleury, and they, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Fleury and all those guys.
Vegas, most recent.
Yeah. So you know, that's never going to hurt you. But I wouldn't, honestly, you know, going into Christmas here, who do we have coming up? I know Pittsburgh's on Saturday. Rangers again.
Columbus on Thursday, I think.
Columbus on Thursday. So, you know, that's a big, obviously winnable game. They're all winnable games, right? So Toronto's competing at a level where the expectation is that you're going to go in and you're going to compete, right? There's not a team that I don't think Toronto's going to come up against that Toronto shouldn't be at least even money. Maybe Colorado or you know, Vegas and Vegas. But other than that, I think Toronto's going to be a even money or a slight favor. And but you're not going to win them all. But look at the big picture. Hey, John, that's what I'm going to say to you. I'm not going to say what's the record. I'm going to say look at the big picture. Open your eyes.
Listen, I'm a big fan of open your eyes. I'm a big fan of look at the big picture. I'm also
oh boy.
You're frozen again.
I'm also a big fan of looking at history, and what history's told me here is that what I see from this team to date, the Nashville game, and these last 3 games aside, I've seen the story before. I know what the story is. Everything looks almost identical to what we've tricked ourselves into believing the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's a different group, though. It's a different group.
Yeah, but you know what? Do you want to know what, John? If we did this in December of last year, do you want to know what I would have said? I've seen this before, and you would have said, Johnny, it's a different group.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, at the end, we're in the same situation because as far and listen, I've got to say it. I got to do it once a week. As long as the coach is here, I don't believe anything changes. That's my opinion, and I know it's not popular, and I get roasted for it all the time. But until I see something that changes with this coach and his approach to the team, I fundamentally believe that we're going to be in the same spot. But
I think you should put your money where your mouth is there. And if you're that against Sheldon Keefe as the coach of this hockey club, you should say that if he wins the cup, you'll get his name tattooed on you.
Listen, I'm in.
Right. If I was that adamant about something, I would definitely say that.
Okay, I'm going on record. Put it on display right now. Not only will I get Sheldon Keefe's name tattooed on my arm, I will also make sure I personally drive him on the parade route. Okay, I'm in 100%. Do you want to know why I know that I'm comfortable in making that bet? I don't think he's going to be here very much longer. And to be fair, if we're going to be fair and call a spade on this, if I recall, you also agreed with me at the end of last year that it was time for him to go.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was going. Yeah.
Nolan, you also agreed it was time for him to go, right?
Yeah, and then dude was left instead.
Well, all I'm saying is I just want to be fair. While I applaud the team on where we're playing right now, especially coming off that Saturday night game, which I loved, and I want to be clear, I loved. Nobody's been more consistent on their opinion of this coach than I am. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, hey, I'll give you a thumbs up, Don Cherry's Sports Grill. And Nolan, any parting words for us?
I think that's it. Just enjoy the rest of the game tonight. And
who else do we have this week, guys? Who else do we got? We got Columbus on Thursday and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Rangers.
Okay, so we got 3 games before next Tuesday.
No, 2. Rangers is I think Wednesday.
Okay, so
Rangers is Tuesday.
They're Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, so Rangers leaves.
So let's go Columbus and Pittsburgh. How many points do we got over the next
4?
Yeah, I'll go 4-2.
Okay, I'm going to shock you guys. I'm going 4-2.
Oh,
I like where we are. I like
negative. Go 2 or 1.
Well, are you changing and going negative now because I've gone positive?
Enjoy the rest of the game.
Yeah, you too.
All right, boys.